Hello friends. So in this video we are going to talk about waterfall methodology. So please remember this video series is very important because this sets the foundation for understanding about the agile methodology in our upcoming videos. So with that being said, let's jump right in. So we are going to cover the following topics, and the topics include like what is waterfall methodology and what are its phases, and we're going to discuss in depth about what happens in each phase, and we will try to understand like why we call this as waterfall. Okay, so especially in the IT industry, whenever we use the term agile, we always bring in the waterfall model for comparison. So it's because like waterfall methodology is the traditionally used software development method that was originally defined by Winston W. Royce in 1970. So applications and software that were developed before the agile era were predominantly using this method for delivering their software products. If you look at any manufacturing or a building process, there will be sequential and logical steps involved during the development of a product. So let's take an example of building a car. First, there should be a design on the paper. Then that design will be given to an automobile engineer. And then the core components are built and the product is sent through an assembly line. So once the product is out as a fully built car, it will be given to the testers to make sure all the quality parameters have been passed and it is ready to be shipped to the customers. And then once the car is sold to the customers, and they will also have a maintenance phase, meaning like once the car is sold to the customer, the company will say, hey, you know what, you can bring into our service center in case if anything happens to your car for the first 1 year, so the service will be given for the free of cost, something like that. In software development, you will not have the touch and feel of the product like other manufacturing industries like car and other things. So here we refer the software application as the product. So we can only see the product inside a computer screen, right? Like, for example, in the MS Office suite, you can consider MS Word as a product, MS Excel as a product, or the Outlook as a product. It has its own functionality and features. So similar to what we saw on how a car is manufactured, in the traditional software method, the software is also developed on a sequential basis. It has its own set of sequence. That's what we're going to see in the upcoming slides. All right, so similar to a car manufacturing process. So these are the sequence in which generally the software was developed, and the timeline flows here from here to here. So for example, it starts with the requirement analysis. So just like we saw in a design phase in the car manufacturing, so this is where they analyze the requirements, and then the requirements is given to the design and architecture. They will build the architecture and design, and then they will give to the development team, which means a bunch of software engineers will be coding the software, and then once the software is developed, they will be given to testing, and here's where they will release the product. And then once the product is released to the customer or sold to the customer, and then we'll be having a maintenance phase if the product is working correctly or not. So if you look at the timeline, as I said, like the timeline flows in this fashion, which means let's say the requirement analysis happens during the January, and then the design and architecture somewhere in March, or the development happens during like June or July, and then the testing happens in September, and the delivery is on the December. So it takes let's say if it is a 1 year project, so this is possibly going to be the duration from the time the project starts and until the project ends, which means the delivering to the customers, right? Okay, now let's see like what happens during the analysis phase or the requirements analysis phase, like you can call it in either ways. So this is what happens, right? The business requirements, functional requirements, technical requirements, the scope of the project, the budget, the resourcing, all these things will be discussed, right? So let's go one by one. Let's talk about the requirements first, right? So before we jump onto this, so let's see what requirement is all about. First, let's see the meaning of the word requirement. A simple Google search will bring you this. So it means a thing that is needed or wanted. Right? If you further go into the definition of needed, what is a need? A need is nothing but something that solves your problem. Let me give an example. I am thirsty. I need water. I am hungry. I need food. So in these two examples, water solves the need of my thirst and food solves the need of my hunger. So basically a need is something that solves a particular problem. So similarly, a requirement is something that solves a particular problem. For easy understanding, let's take MS Excel. So if I want to develop or build a software like MS Excel, first I want to analyze what the need for the product. So which means like what problem will it solve? This product will say, I could say like this product will save time in calculating complex mathematical problems. It would help store data in rows and columns, maybe thousands of rows and columns. It can help visualize data in the form of bars, graphs, and so on and so forth, and needs and wants of why we develop this product. So those are the things that will be discussed. Needs and wants of why we develop this product, how this product is going to help the customer, so all sorts of things. So there are other things associated with it as well. We will see it in the next video. Okay, now let's see business requirements. Right now, let's see the word business. We have seen what requirements is all about, and now let's see what business is all about. So similarly, a simple Google search was going to give you this, and it's nothing but a person's regular occupation, profession, or a trade. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to underline person and replace this word person with the word company. I'll just like put C for company. So now if I read it, a company's regular occupation, profession, or a trade, right? So I'd like to highlight trade here. So a trade is nothing but a literal meaning of trade is buying and selling. So in the context of this company that we are talking about, what this company sells, it sells software. It sells, you can call it even like application. You can use that interchangeably. So a company's regular buying and selling of softwares and trades, if I wanted to rephrase this, right? Now, okay, we've seen the meaning of the word requirements, and also like we've seen the meaning of the word business. Requirements, we all know it's a need, and business, it's typically what we are selling, so that in this case it revolves mostly around our product that we are trying to sell. And combining the business and requirements, so this addresses basically the following questions. So why we are developing this product, what problem will it solve to the customers, what value it's going to add to the customer, and how will this product bring money into the company. So these are the questions basically the business requirements will address us, and there will be like a lot of discussions and analysis, and they will try to do permutations and combinations, a lot of factors while analyzing this business requirements. So now the next thing is the functional requirements. Again, let's break down function and requirements. So we all know what requirements is, and function is nothing but an activity, job, or a duty, right? So let me give a simple example of a human body. So we have many organs and parts that has like unique different functions, right? Eyes would help you to see, ears would help you to hear, nose helps you to smell, and some organs have more than one functions. For example, heart, it also like helps you to keep you alive and also purifies your blood. It transfers the blood to whole body. It carries oxygen to body, thus making all the areas of your body healthy and whatnot. So this is the functions of a human body. Let's take an example of a car. So the gas pedal helps to accelerate the speed. The brakes of the car helps to control the speed. The fuel meter helps the driver to know how much gas the vehicle has. And also the lights helps the driver to drive during the nights. And I think you should be able to get the point pretty much, like what are the functions of different parts, right? So let me translate that into the software development. Let's say I'm creating an application which is more similar like Microsoft Excel. So if you look at this, you have like in the home tab, you have like a lot of features. So a font feature should be able to the font feature should help the customer to adjust the fonts and size and add color to it and things of that nature. Similarly, alignment, it should help the user to align the cells or the whatever, the whether he wants to merge it, he wants to split the cells and like whatnot. And so basically these are the functions that will be discussed during the functional requirement. So coming back to it, a function is nothing but an activity and the requirements are nothing but need. Like what are the functional requirements? So that eventually brings us to the question, like what are the different parts of the software application and what are its functions? And so this is basically helps the team to design, okay, how we can design the product in terms of functions and like what it would what is the value that it would give to the customer. Okay, now technical requirements. Technical requirements are more related to performance. So let's take an example of a car. So when a company is building a car, it built in such a way that it should be drivable on almost all the terrains effectively, right? For example, it should perform well in a high-speed highway or a freeway. So it should perform well in a slippery snow. It should perform well while driving up in an uphill in a mountain, or also it should perform well in a rugged roads. And having this idea in mind, the car manufacturers will design the vehicle that it should perform well in all these environments. So these are the environments, right? And similarly, in software development, when I develop an application like Windows Excel or like whatever, so it should work in all the operating systems. So I could use a Mac or I could use a Windows operating system. I could use Linux. So it should basically work in almost all the environments. So we have like VMware, Ubuntu, and all those things. And in terms of nowadays, we have like softwares that works in cloud. Let's say Office 365. I should be able to open Office 365 in Chrome. I should be able to open Office 365 in Safari. I should be able to open that in Mozilla or Internet Explorer, right? So it should work in all the environments. And if it is an web-based application, I should be able to open that in any browser I want. Okay, now let's see scope. So in this analysis phase, they will discuss about the scope of the project. Okay, let's see the meaning of the word scope. Think of scope is like a boundary or a fence, right? So it's the extent or it's the range, I would say. Okay, let me give an example for this. Let's say I have like a 10,000 square feet of land with me, or an 8,000 to 10,000 square feet of land. I'm planning to construct a luxury house on that land. So I would like to have a tennis court, a swimming pool, a lawn or a backyard, and probably multiple bedrooms. And also I'm having like $1 million with me. So in this way, I can pretty much build that house I want, right? Like with the kind of the boundary I have in terms of the land, I think I should be in a pretty comfortable position to construct that house in the given, in the given land. Now, let's look at another scenario. I have only 800 square feet of land with me. I want to have a similar kind of house. Will it be possible? Well, I don't think so. Well, a tennis court may not be possible, but probably we can just squeeze in the small lawn or swimming pool. But my scope is only 800 square feet. I can only construct the house. I should only construct the house within that 800 square feet of land. All right. Now, if I go back to the older example where I have like a 8,000 square feet of land, and then I do not have $1 million. I have only like a $200,000. So now the scope for me is I have only like $200,000. Within that, I should construct the house. So that is nothing but scope. Similarly, to a software engineer, for a software development, so a scope is nothing but like what features that we can have maximum at a given system or like a whatever that we are building. So basically, what features that you can fit in the software that you are going to give it to the customer, and how much money will it cost, how many people that are required to build, and most importantly, how much time will it take to build? So that is one of the major important element. Time is a major important element. Let's say the customer comes and says like, hey, I want like a million features in this, but I want it in like 6 months. But possible that's practically impossible. So the scope involves everything: the time, the money, the requirements, and the features, and all of those things, right? Now let's see resourcing. Resourcing is a very straightforward thing. Resources are nothing but who are the people that we need to develop the whole project, right? So we need software engineers to code the software, and quality engineers to test the software, delivery manager to deliver the software, resource manager to manage the resources in case if any of the resources resign or getting fired from the project. And also we need like the accounting and financial people to take care of how much money the company is going to spend for this project, and they need to keep a track of it and all sorts of things, right? So these are the things that they will be. And the final one is the budget. It's basically like how much money that you need for the overall project, right? Like how much money you need to pay for the resources that you hire, how much money that you need to pay for all the computer systems that you are going to get for development, and the cost of the servers and cost of electricity and all those things, right? So that's pretty much it. And now see like who will be there during this analysis phase. We've discussed about like what happens during the analysis. Now let's see like who will be there during the analysis phase. Right, you have the business analyst who generally takes care of the requirements, and you have the project manager who's responsible for the overall project, and you have the project sponsor who funds the project, and you have business owner or the client. So it is basically like to whom we are doing this project for. A business owner would be like it could be like a restaurant owner. A restaurant owner would be like approaching an IT company and say, hey, you know what, like I want you to build me a website so that people can order food online. So he's the business owner, or he's the client for that company. And and also like you have like other stakeholders who have interest over for this project, right? Okay, now let's see what is the outcome of this analysis phase. So we have seen like what happens during the analysis phase, and also we've seen like who will be involved during the analysis phase. Now what would be the outcome? What is the final output of that analysis phase? So basically during this phase, they will discuss and analyze all the requirements, scope, budget, resources, and they will come up with these set of documents. So you have business requirement documents. So basically it has all the business requirements, and then you have the functional requirement documents. It have all the comprehensive functions that the system would do and all sorts of things, and the technical requirements about like what is the performance parameters and like how it should perform and all sorts of things. And you have the scope documents, that is the scope of the project, and the budget forecast of like how much this project would cost over the period of time. And you have the resourcing document, like who are the resources going to work and how are we going to utilize the resources over the period of time, right? All right, folks, and that's it for today, and that concludes this video. In the next video, we will talk about what happens in the subsequent phases.